Good morning, everybody. This is Ian Weston from Weston Instruments, a guitar repair shop in Ottawa, Canada. Today is March 28th, 2020, and we're kind of right in the middle of this whole COVID-19 thing, which means that business as usual is not business as usual. Everybody is at home and just waiting for this storm to pass, which means that I have time to offer you a shop tour, something that I've been meaning to do for a while, but I actually have time to do it now. So I'm going to flip this camera around and I will see you in a minute. There, it actually took me a minute to figure out how that worked. I'm such a genius with technology. So yeah, there you go. See it? We don't exist until further notice, but luckily I had a few instruments left in the shop for me to actually work on stuff. So, this is what you see when you come into Weston Instruments. So we specialize in, well, all sorts of guitar repair, really. Guitar repair, modification, customization, improvements, changes, paint, whatever it is. We pretty much do it all over here. And this is your view when you walk into the shop. We got the main counter over here, little seating area with an amplifier for you to try your recently serviced guitar. I'm usually on the other side of the counter. Here is the climate-controlled vault where all the guitars are stored and in climate control because Canada can be a bit of a dick and dry everything out and break it. So let's start with the beginning counter. Everything starts over here. A couple little tools just for quick assessments of instruments at the counter. What's wrong with them? What do we need to do? What can we do? What can we not do? All that fun stuff. We work with ShopFlow, which is a shop management software developed by Glazer Instruments in Nashville. And this is where we keep track of all the things that we have to do, because we do have quite a bit of customers, and keeping track of all that does necessitate the heavy lifting of technology. What do we have in this corner? Well, this is the Downdraft Table. The first time I saw one of these was at Michael Greenfield's shop. And I was wondering what it was, and Michael said, well, it's a downdraft table. It creates a downdraft, and there are filters inside of it. And when you're sanding, polishing, whatever, making dust, all the dust goes into the table and gets stuck in the filters. And as soon as I saw this thing, I knew I had to have one, and I almost replaced my blood with it. It is awesome. Here we've got, here we got some tool storage already, because you never got enough clamps. A little lathe, because you don't know you need a lathe until you have a lathe and then realize that you can't live without a lathe. So on the lathe we'll do anything from making dowels, turning down screws, modifying hardware to fit guitars. It's kind of my approach to things is to modify the hardware to fix the guitar, not modify the guitar to fit the hardware. Here we have this big obvious machine in the middle of the shop. Those of you that are local to us know that this is the Plaque Machine, which I affectionately name Christopher. So the Plaque Machine is, well, it's my first employee is what it was. It's a machine for leveling fingerboards, leveling frets, slotting fingerboards, cutting for inlay, machining nuts, machining nutshells, slotting bridges, locating bridge pin holes, and we can hold a tolerance that is pretty darn close to 2/10,000ths of an inch. To put that in perspective, this is a Fender Nocaster, and it's got 10 to 46 strings on it. So this high E string is 1/100th of an inch, or 10 1/1000ths. The tolerance of this machine will bring everything within 1/50th the diameter of this string. That's the level of precision that we like to deal with. And so guitars go in there, strung up to pitch, so that we can take measurements. I'm actually going to let her rip here and run a measurement. So it starts with this, with measuring. So that sensor finger runs up and down the guitar, measuring everything, determining the scale length, determining the position of the strings, determining the position of the frets, and a measurement like this will take about 3 minutes. Ends up in an amount of data which represents about 20,000 points of measurement, which is then compiled into a graphic rendition that we can understand. The tool heads are, well, that's the sensor finger poking around looking for the strings right now. Up at the top, that's the high frequency spindle. That is for doing the actual wood machining and bone machining. So when we're not working on metal, it's the high frequency spindle that's doing the work. Down here is the fret cutter. So that's a fret cutter, it's carbide, and that's the one that actually machines the frets. So it'll level and crown the frets at the same time. With this thing, we've got control over everything. Control over the radius of the fingerboard, the amount of relief under each string, the amount of fall off under each string. You know, if you want something with a double compound radius, compound fret height, you name it, we can machine it with this device. And well, oh, here we go. Here's the mill. Very useful tool. Again, like the lathe, you don't know you need a mill until you've got a mill, and then you wonder how you ever got by without a mill. Use this for machining hardware, machining wood parts, machining tools. If you need to make some custom tooling, super useful device. Drill press, an apparatus for drilling and pressing. Self-explanatory, drill press. Here's kind of our bread and butter kind of work. This is just an ovation that needed a bridge reset. This had the typical bridge crazy glued to the finish, which doesn't work, never worked, never will work. And so that needed fixing. This is actually Spencer's station. Spencer isn't here today because it's not business as usual, so we had to do the things that needed doing. And as I said, we work with ShopFlow, so everybody's got a computer at their station. Spencer's got his over there, and that's mine over there. Dust collection. You never have enough dust collection. Dust is a fire hazard, a health hazard, and it's just messy. You get your dust under control. And more kind of run-of-the-mill stuff we deal with. This is a Laravel, an OM3, and well, the bridge is split, the top is split, and the neck angle is too shallow. So this puppy is going to be taken apart, bridge off, neck reset, bridge replacement. I got a replacement from Laravel themselves, so we'll have the appropriate bridge for this little puppy and make it a guitar instead of a guitar-shaped object. This is my bench. This is kind of command central where everything happens, phone calls, emails, work. Of course, there's tool storage all over the place, tools all over the place. Try to keep the madness under control, but embrace the madness is what I've been told. Here's something like, this is a custom thing I made for a customer. It's an Esquire replica. So it's a Musicraft body and a Musicraft neck, and did all the finishing in-house. It's a good old-fashioned nitro in a color called Tao's Turquoise, I believe. It's from a 53 Chevrolet color. And it was a dream guitar for him. He wanted this color. He wanted an Esquire. He has all of his preferences on here, the Glendale bridge and nice mint green pickguard, which suits this color really well. And a little bit of a tint. Yes, it is a replica. And before you grill me on that, see, not trying to fool anybody. We just like to make things that look proper. So yeah, nice nitro finish, nice and slick, and it'll age and check and do all that fun stuff that nitro does. You either love it or hate it. I'm really a fan of this guitar. Let's move. I think that's enough for this room. Let's move on to the other room. This is the one that people don't usually see. So this is more where we make a mess and try to keep it under control. More dust collection over here. Woodworking bench with vices, super useful. More tool storage because more tools. The bandsaw, which is a saw in a band used for cutting stuff. We usually cut mostly bone on this. We make a lot of bone nuts and saddles. A couple of empty boxes because I had some guitars shipped in. It's pretty much the only way to have any work these days. This is the buffing arbor. It is used to make things that are not shiny. Compressor, because compressed air for spraying, the chuck on the Plaque Machine. I have some sanders that are pneumatic, so you need some air. Fireproof storage for all of the lacquers and things, you know. So all the Stumac lacquers and other lacquers as well, all sorts of stuff that we need to use for repairs, restorations, refinishes, that's all stored in there. That's a little project of Mike Sankey that's just in here during this madness. Surface plate, it's just a big honkin' 80-pound piece of metal with a surface that's machined really flat, and now that I've touched it, I've got to oil it so it doesn't rust. Belt sander. You use the belt sander a lot in this job, a lot. Grinder for the grinding of things. Other heavy duty tools for when we have bigger things to make smaller. Vices, you already noticed probably 2 or 3 of these throughout the shop. This is, this thing here, this is pretty cool. This is the UV Cure lamp. So we are a Taylor Gold service center. And Taylor guitars, if you are or are not aware, are finished with a UV cured polyester. So it's a finish that you spray on, and as long as you don't put it under this 1100 watt UV lamp, it will never cure. It'll stay liquid. But if you put it under that lamp for about 3 minutes, it's as hard as it'll ever be. So it's really great because unlike nitro needs weeks and weeks to cure. UV, spray it on, 5 minutes later, you're on to sanding. I do use a turbine for the bigger work pieces. It's just a nice, reliable source of air. And here is the spray booth. So, big honkin' spray booth for a passion project up there, a double bound telly. And well, here's a kind of our common job. This is a maple board Fender Stratocaster. It needs a refret, and in refretting maple boards, we often have to refinish them if they're from after 1983 and we can't push the frets out sideways. So I do the finishing first and then I do the fret work. The reason being, it makes a future refret easier because you're not pulling finish up when you're pulling the frets up, and also if you don't get your color match right, it's a whole lot easier to refinish one fingerboard than 22 different slots. But yeah, this has already been refinished. This is the color match, and I'm just waiting for a new batch of UV cured finish to show up so I can clear coat it, and then I can move on to refretting. Have we missed anything? No, I think that's pretty much it. It's a big small shop. Yeah, there's a lot of fret wire on the wall. But yeah, this is Weston Instruments. It's what it looks like, and this is where I spend most of my life. Thanks for watching.